Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Terry McLaurin's contract situation with the Washington Commanders has quickly become one of the most intriguing storylines of the 2024 NFL offseason. After watching peers like DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, and most recently Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson break into the elite $30 million per year wide receiver club, McLaurin is understandably pushing to join that exclusive group. He's earned it. Since entering the league in 2019, McLaurin has consistently delivered top-tier performances, often in less-than-ideal situations, with revolving doors at quarterback and offensive instability. His production speaks volumes. 5 1,000-yard seasons in 6 years, and a reputation for toughness, leadership, and reliability. Still, the Commanders are hesitant, reportedly balking at the $30 million AAV mark McLaurin is targeting. The team seems willing to pay, just not at the level the receiver believes he's worth. This disconnect has created a negotiation stalemate that's now spilling over into training camp, with both sides subtly applying pressure. When Terry McLaurin showed up to camp and was placed on the active PUP list, it raised immediate eyebrows. He reportedly has an ankle issue, but insiders have questioned how serious the injury actually is. The timing is telling. McLaurin's presence at camp without actually participating echoes a growing trend among star players the holding. Instead of skipping camp entirely and facing fines, players report but refrain from practicing, often citing minor injuries as justification. We've seen this tactic before, most notably with Jonathan Taylor and Micah Parsons in recent seasons. For McLaurin, it's a strategic play, a middle ground between showing professionalism and exerting contract leverage. The Commanders, however, are said to be surprised by how difficult these negotiations have become. They likely expected smoother talks with a player who's been the face of consistency for the franchise. Now they find themselves entangled in a standoff that could define their offensive direction for the next few years. One of the most compelling elements of this contract drama is McLaurin's age. He's heading into his age 30 season, which naturally raises eyebrows from a team-building perspective. While McLaurin was drafted in 2019 alongside DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, he was an older prospect coming out of college. Both Metcalf and Brown are still just 27, which gives them more theoretical prime years ahead. That age gap matters, especially when teams are projecting value over the life of a deal. But make no mistake, McLaurin has been every bit as productive as those two, and in some ways more impressive given the circumstances. While Metcalf and Brown have enjoyed stability with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts, McLaurin has made do with a carousel of mediocrity under center. Despite that, his numbers have held steady. That kind of resilience should count for something. And yet it's that same age factor that's giving Washington pause as they consider whether he's worth that $30 million figure. It's worth remembering that McLaurin already helped reshape the receiver market once before. Back in 2022, he signed a 3-year, $69.6 million extension, setting a new bar for second-tier receivers at the time. That deal, while lucrative, quickly looked modest as the market exploded. Players like Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, and others signed deals with higher average annual values shortly thereafter. Fast forward 2 years, and McLaurin's AAV now ranks just 17th among wide receivers. For a player with his consistency and production, that's a glaring discrepancy. He's undoubtedly aware of that. His current contract simply doesn't reflect where the market is now. So from his perspective, pushing for a new deal in the $30 million range isn't just about ego. It's about aligning his compensation with his value and contributions, especially as the Commanders enter a new chapter, with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels under center and renewed hope for the future. The Commanders' reluctance becomes even more questionable when you consider what other receivers of similar age and profile are earning. Courtland Sutton, nearly the same age as McLaurin, and with far less production, signed a 4-year, $92 million extension with the Broncos. Calvin Ridley, also entering his 30s, landed a similar deal with the Titans in 2024. Neither of those players has matched McLaurin's durability, statistical consistency, or leadership qualities. If anything, McLaurin's resume is stronger across the board. And unlike teams paying these players while juggling expensive quarterbacks, Washington has the luxury of a rookie QB contract with Daniels. That financial flexibility should make it easier to absorb a high-dollar deal for McLaurin. Instead, the team appears to be playing hardball, perhaps trying to set a new internal precedent. But that approach risks alienating a player who has been the heart and soul of the offense and a rare constant amid years of organizational turmoil. New GM. Adam Peters is now at the center of this negotiation maze. Having arrived from San Francisco, Peters has experience navigating high-profile receiver extensions, having been in the building when Deebo Samuel signed his own big deal in 2022. However, he was not there for Brandon Ayuk's recent $30 million per year contract. Still, Peters understands the cost of elite talent. What makes this scenario unique is McLaurin's stature within the locker room and the broader organization. He's not just another receiver, he's the guy. Peters acknowledged that talks are ongoing, and McLaurin himself has gone public with his frustration over the lack of progress. That frustration isn't just about the money, it's about respect, it's about recognition, and it's about urgency with training camp underway and a pivotal season looming for a team trying to build a new identity and culture under head. Coach Dan Quinn, how they handle this negotiation could send a loud message to the locker room. There's also a strategic dilemma at play. The receiver market has become increasingly stratified. At the very top, you have the elite tier earning $30 million plus per year. Players like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Jamar Chase. Then there's the next tier, where guys like T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, and DJ Moore reside earning somewhere in the mid to high 20s. McLaurin finds himself caught in between. He's arguably too good for the second tier, but teams may hesitate to lump him in with the top earners due to age or lack of national profile. That makes this negotiation tricky. How do you value a player who has performed like a real one but doesn't have the highlight reel plays or flashy personality that often drive contract buzz? For the Commanders, the answer could come down to guarantees and contract structure, ways to compromise on AAV without fully committing to a long-term cap burden. Despite all the tension, a resolution could still be on the horizon. According to Tony Pauline of Sportskeeda, a short-term extension is likely, though it may come in just shy of the $30 million mark. If that's the case, expect McLaurin to prioritize guarantees and flexibility. A 2 or 3 year deal with strong guaranteed money and an option for a future bump could satisfy both sides. For McLaurin, it secures a third lucrative contract without tying him down too long. For the Commanders, it avoids a lengthy cap commitment and keeps their top weapon happy. But if Washington insists on holding firm below the $30 million line, this could drag out further. And every day McLaurin spends on the sideline, whether truly injured or not, adds pressure. The clock is ticking and both sides know it. With a rookie quarterback to develop and a fan base eager for progress, the Commanders can't afford to fumble this. For McLaurin, the stakes couldn't be higher. He's fought his way from a third-round pick into one of the league's most respected wide receivers. He's done everything right, performed, led, endured. But in a league that often rewards flash over substance, he now finds himself needing to advocate for his worth. It's a delicate balance. Push too hard, and he risks fracturing relationships. Settle too quickly, and he leaves money on the table. Meanwhile, younger receivers are getting paid like superstars with less on-field consistency. McLaurin's gamble is rooted in principle as much as payday. And with the Commanders trying to reset their culture, they must decide if keeping their cornerstone receiver happy is worth that top-tier dollar. The league is watching, so is the locker room. And make no mistake if Washington doesn't pay Terry. McLaurin, what he's earned, someone else eventually will. This negotiation isn't just about Terry McLaurin, it's about what the Commanders want to be as a franchise. For years, they've struggled with instability. Coaching changes quarterback, turmoil front office shakeups. McLaurin has been the constant through all of it. Paying him now wouldn't just be a football decision, it would be a statement. A declaration that the Commanders are serious about building around their best. Jaden Daniels needs a veteran target he can trust. The locker room needs a leader to rally around. The fans need someone to believe in. McLaurin can be all of that if the team shows him the respect he's earned. If they don't, they risk sending the wrong message just as they're trying to change the narrative. Time is running out to get this right. The next move belongs to the front office, and how they respond will shape the Commanders' identity for years to come. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. T. Higgins to Washington? That's the kind of NFL buzz that's been quietly heating up behind the scenes, and if the rumors are true, we might be looking at one of the most exciting trades of the offseason. Word around the league is that the Cincinnati Bengals and the Washington Commanders have been engaged in serious discussions about a potential trade that would send the talented wide receiver to DC. While nothing has been confirmed officially, multiple insiders have hinted that the talks are progressing, with both franchises recognizing that a deal could benefit them in different ways. For the Bengals, it's about long-term cap space and offensive restructuring. For the Commanders, it's about giving their new quarterback a legitimate number one target. The buzz really picked up after a report surfaced claiming both teams had been exploring options that involved Higgins. Since then, speculation has exploded, and fans are already dreaming about what this could mean for the NFC East. T. Higgins, a second-round pick in 2020, has developed into one of the most dangerous receivers in the league. His combination of size, athleticism, and reliable hands make him a nightmare matchup for defenders. With the Bengals focusing more on Jamar Chase as their centerpiece wideout, many have wondered if Higgins could be the odd man out. Not because of performance, but because of business. He's due for a contract extension, and Cincinnati might not be willing to pay top dollar for two-star receivers. Enter Washington, a team with cap flexibility and a growing need for an elite pass catcher. The idea of pairing Higgins with a young, mobile quarterback and an improving offensive line is suddenly gaining traction among analysts. Washington's front office, now under a new regime, seems intent on shaking things up. And this could be their first big move to redefine the team's offensive identity. From a strategic standpoint, adding T. Higgins could be a game changer. For the Commanders, Washington hasn't had a true number one wide receiver since the prime years of Terry McLaurin. And while McLaurin remains a fan favorite and a solid contributor, bringing in someone like Higgins could elevate the entire unit. With opposing defenses needing to account for both weapons, the offense would instantly become more dynamic. But beyond scheme, this is about sending a message that Washington is no longer content with mediocrity. There's a new energy around. The franchise, sparked by ownership changes, a restructured front office, and a renewed commitment to competing in the NFC. Trading for Higgins wouldn't just be about stats and highlights, it would be a statement of intent. And while many fans are cautiously optimistic, there's no denying that this kind of bold move could be exactly what the Commanders need to break through years of inconsistency. The Bengals, meanwhile, are playing a dangerous game. Trading T. Higgins would undoubtedly upset some fans, but the front office seems to be thinking long-term. With Joe Burrow commanding a massive contract and Jamar Chase likely to receive a similar deal soon, the financial math doesn't quite add up. Keeping all three together, Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, might just be too expensive in today's NFL. So instead of risking losing Higgins for nothing in free agency, Cincinnati may be choosing to get ahead of the curve. If they can land a high draft pick or a defensive difference maker from Washington, they might consider it a win-win. Of course, that's assuming they're confident in their ability to replace Higgins' production. That's easier said than done. The Bengals have been known to draft well, but Higgins is not a piece you casually replace. This is a high-stakes decision, and fans are watching closely. What makes this potential deal even more interesting is the Commanders' recent activity in free agency and the draft. There's been a clear pattern of focus on speed, youth, and offensive playmakers. It's not hard to connect the dots. Washington seems to be setting the table for something big. Adding Higgins fits perfectly into that narrative. And if you listen closely to team insiders, they're not denying the possibility. One source described the Commanders' interest as very real, noting that the team has done its homework on Higgins both as a player and as a locker room presence. That speaks volumes. This isn't a shot in the dark. This feels like part of a broader plan. New GM Adam Peters has a reputation for bold, calculated moves. If he sees T. Higgins as the missing piece to fast-track the rebuild, he's not going to hesitate. And if Washington pulls this off, they'll instantly be viewed through a new lens across the league. Of course, with any rumor, there's always a layer of skepticism. Some believe this could simply be a negotiating tactic by the Bengals to increase Higgins' value. Leaking interest from a team like Washington could spark a bidding war, especially with other WR-needy teams lurking. Think about teams like the Patriots, Panthers, or even the Giants, all of whom would love a player like Higgins. But Washington has something those other franchises might not. Momentum. The Commanders' culture is shifting, and players around the league are noticing. If they can sell Higgins on a vision, on being the centerpiece of a new era, they could have a real advantage. It's no secret that NFL trades often come down to timing and leverage. Right now, Washington has both. They have cap space. They have a clear need. And more importantly, they have a front office willing to make big moves when the opportunity strikes. Another key element in all this is T. Higgins himself. While he hasn't publicly requested a trade, there have been subtle signs that he's open to a fresh start. Social media activity, interviews, and insider whispers all suggest that Higgins isn't entirely thrilled with his current situation. He's a competitor. He wants to be the guy. In Cincinnati, with Chase taking the spotlight, Higgins might feel like a luxury rather than a priority. Washington could offer him the role he's been waiting for. The true WR1, the focal point of the passing game. And let's be honest, DC isn't a bad market. New coaching staff, new identity, new energy. It could be the perfect place for him to shine. If this deal happens, it won't just reshape two rosters, it could reshape T. Higgins' career. Sometimes, all a great player needs is the right stage. Washington might be that stage. Fans are already buzzing about what a Higgins-McLaurin duo could look like. Picture this, a young quarterback stepping into his own, flanked by two of the most reliable receivers in the game. Add in a creative offensive coordinator and a defense that's slowly coming together, and suddenly Washington doesn't look like a rebuilding team anymore. They look like a contender in the making. The NFC East is no joke. Dallas, Philly, and even the Giants can't be taken lightly. But this is how teams close the gap, by adding elite talent and taking calculated risks. A move like this would light a fire under the entire franchise. Ticket sales, media attention, locker room morale, all of it would surge. And in a league where momentum is everything, that matters. This could be more than just a roster upgrade. It could be the catalyst for a whole new chapter in Commanders football. On the other side, you have to wonder how this would affect Cincinnati's locker room. Higgins is well liked. He's been a huge part of the team's recent success, and losing him could shake the chemistry a bit. But in the NFL, hard decisions are part of the business. The Bengals believe in their system and their ability to develop talent. Maybe they have a plan in place already. Maybe there's a young receiver waiting in the wings or a veteran target they're eyeing in free agency. Regardless, if this trade goes through, it'll be a defining moment for the Bengals front office. It's one thing to draft well. It's another to make tough calls when money gets tight. Cincinnati's ability to navigate this transition will say a lot about their long-term staying power. The AFC is loaded with talent, and standing still is not an option. If they're moving on from Higgins, they better have a plan. At the end of the day, nothing is set in stone. This could fizzle out tomorrow, or it could explode into the biggest trade of the offseason. That's the beauty of this league. You never really know what's coming. But all the signs are there. The smoke is too thick to ignore. T. Higgins to Washington might not just be a rumor. It might be the first domino in a series of bold, franchise-altering moves. Whether you're a Bengals fan bracing for change or a Commanders fan dreaming of a breakout season, buckle up. The NFL never sleeps, and this story is far from over. All we know for sure is that something's brewing, and when the phone lines between two front offices start heating up this much, it usually means something big is on the horizon. So keep your eyes peeled. Because if T. Higgins ends up in Washington, the entire league will be watching. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.